So is anybody here from the public? Any public comments? All right, good. So we'll go to the minutes of August 17th. Motion?
I make that motion.
Motion's been made. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Ayes have it. Okay, discussion of vote task orders, Hilltop Securities. Next, Sally.
I'll take this. Great. So we're requesting approval to enter into two $5,000 task orders, one with Hilltop Securities and one with TAC McSally. Hilltop is our financial consulting services firm, while TAC McSally provides fund consulting services. These services are done on an as-needed basis. Typically, the invoices are a couple $100. We may call them with, Fitch may have a question with respect to a rating agency question. They'll help us respond to those. Typically, we haven't entered into task orders because the invoices have been so small, but we'd like to formalize the process, enter into two task orders for $5,000 each. And in the budget, we have about $16,000 for those services.
Questions?
And that's just paid as needed.
Yeah,
It's not a lump sum to them. It's
No,
They-
it's
they-
just it's like having an
it's in
open
the budget.
Yes.
They'll entertain a motion.
Yeah, make that motion.
Motion's been made,
Second.
seconded. Questions, discussions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, carried unanimous. Draft 2022 audited financial statements.
No, I'll take this one as well. Happy to take this one actually this year. First of all, Erica Libri, she's a partner with Markham, is here. There is a brief presentation in your packet. She'll walk you through that, and we can answer any questions you may have. I just want to make a couple comments. Again, this year, the entire audit was done on a remote basis. That process seems to work well. And I appreciate all the time and effort the Markham team has put into that. It's been very good, very helpful, and we continue to have a good relationship with Markham. Overall, for our revenue, compared to last year, revenue is up 17%. Our operating expenses are up less than 1%, and more importantly, our operating profit is up 65%. We often look back at 2019, how do we do versus pre-COVID? And I'm excited to tell you that our revenue is higher, our operating expenses are lower, and our operating profit is higher. So in summary, we're back. So with that, I'd like to turn it over to Eric.
Good morning, everyone. You guys want me to stand?
Sure.
All right, so you guys have the full draft in the copy, but if you have any questions, you guys let me know. You can always email me after the meeting if you need to. I'm just gonna go through the slide deck. In terms of what happened during the audit. John Keeling is the manager, so he was the one fully engaged in doing all the work. Again, a great audit, and your team does a great job during the year. Without that, the audit would be a lot more difficult to make this timeline. So we're happy to say the draft is state. It's been through all of our QC reviews. So once we get comments back from the state, which are usually minimal, then we can look for issuance. So in the slide deck, so we'll go through the different high points of the audit for 2022. We went over the fact that these drafts are with the state, so they'll review those and give some commentary. If you guys have any questions, just feel free to ask. So on slide 3, the auditor's report was on pages 4 to 7 of the actual draft. So you'll notice if you compare that to last year, it's a little bit different format, same information, but of course, as accountants, we like to change everything. So they pushed the opinion up to the first page, just so you didn't have to go reading through pages. So again, an unmodified opinion, so that's what you want. So that is in there. The layout of the report is a little different, but everything's still in there. What the auditor's responsibility for the report is, what management's responsibility is, what the scope of the audit is. That's all described. Also on the last paragraph of your auditor's report, it explains that you have an audit under governmental auditing standards. With the funding and being a component unit of the state, you're required to have that level. So that's on page 47 to 48, the actual report for governmental auditing standards. So within that report, it talks about looking at your internal controls, designing our tests. If during our testing we found a material weakness or a significant deficiency, we would have to disclose it in that report. There are none to note, so there's nothing disclosed in that report, so that's a good thing. And also with the governmental auditing standards report, we look at compliance with laws and regulations. And if we came up with non-compliance, that would be so well, then there's nothing to note in that report. So on slide 3, this is really just a snapshot in time. This is what it is. If you pull up your graph, there's a lot of details in there. So this is just comparing June 21 to June 22. Obviously, assets down a little bit here, 368 million versus 374 million. Your liabilities down a little bit. Again, the settlement is cleared up, so that rolls off the books now. That was a big change. And then really the timing of rules, right? What construction projects are in process, what payments haven't been made. So that's the change there. So last year there was a lot of construction going on. If you see that in your cash flow, with all of the capital that was outlaid, this year was a little bit less. The difference in the statement of acquisition this year, GASB 87 was the standard that affected the authority. Not really significant, but you'll see a difference where you had to put the leases on the balance sheet. So that was in a standard that affected any governmental agency. If there were leases from the lessor perspective or the lessee perspective, it all has to go on the balance sheet now. And of course, GASB implemented before GASB. You're the lucky winner to get it done first.
I think, so that is related to the leases at Mount Hope Bridge, where with Roger Williams. So that's what the impact of that is.
The parking area,
The parking and the building as well.
And then overall, net position increased about 5.8 million, so. That, the traffic is up, so obviously revenues are up this year. So on slide 5, you see basically your results of operations, so your income statement for the year. So operating revenues are up about 5.6 million. Expenses stay consistent, so the drop to the bottom line was a lot better. So your operating income was 13.7. There for the operating standpoint, about 5.4 million. Non-operating, pretty consistent from year to year. The interest expense, the bond amortization, that's what's in that there. And then overall, your change in net position, 5.8 million versus 384 last year. So that's a great thing, getting back to pre-COVID levels. That's very much out. Any questions so far? Okay. So then slide 6 is just really the cash flow, cash activity. So in the draft, there's a lot of detail of the ins and outs of what happened for operating to produce your cash from operations, right? So you have net cash provided of 28 million versus last year it was 24. So going in the right direction. There's a lot of cash coming in from operations. And as we talked about last year, there was a lot of capital outlay. So you'll see the drop there in the capital and financing area, so it's a little bit less this year. And then investing, obviously we all know the market's down, so a little bit of a difference there. So there was a decrease in that sheet. Next slide, we're looking at this. So we're required to go over certifications with those charters of governance, which is you. So we want to make sure that we go over that. You'll get a final letter once we get you. So that will be with the final reports. So again, during the audit, if we found anything that was like material weakness, significant deficiency, so that's you, there's nothing to know there. Again, in your financials, there's always estimates. So just to be aware that there are estimates built into some of those numbers, and like to highlight the significant ones. So if you like total liability forgot full accounts. Settlement was a change from year to year, so there's no settlement happening this year. Useful life of fixed assets, so that's all of management estimates that could change. Again, sensitive disclosures are in financials, because there's a lot of information in the notes. If you read through it, it gives you kind of an idea of how the numbers go. So the 87, which is the leasing standard implementation, there's a note on that. And then anything from in our state, there are notes in there, maybe it's background. So again, no difficulties in the audit, it went smoothly, you have a great team here, they keep everything run smoothly during the year, which we. So no past adjustments, so if there were adjustments that we run, that we would have to bring them to your attention and say that we passed them. There were none of those, so anything that we brought to management's attention is supposed to be financials. Now, slide 8. Again, no disagreements with management. It was a remote audit, so everything was uploaded through our secure portal. We got all the documentation we needed. So based on when the city approves, which hopefully will be soon, we checked with them this week, so we should get comments back soon. We can get a signed red letter, update our subsequent events, update any legal we have to do, and then we can issue. To our knowledge, there was no other consultation with any other accountants on the treatment of certain things, so there was no jumping to go to someone else and say, I you got to 87, so there was none of that. And then on the other matters, so again, required supplementary information, there's a paragraph in the bottom of the report to talk about what we do for procedure standpoint for that, and that will be your MD&A. And then supplementary information that's in the back, so that's all of the state required schedules. Basically, all of your financial information in the state format that they must. And then slide 9 is really just to give you an idea of the gas down the pipe. There was some exciting stuff for us to do, so it was all busy. So those are some of the things that's coming down with their active dates. And then that is it for the presentation. Questions?
So, quick question, on page 13 of the document, there's a capital improvement plan.
Yep.
What version of the plan are we looking at here? Is this an old one that was approved or, okay, so, because we've got one under review now.
Yeah, so this would be before that change.
This is previously approved one.
Yeah, I didn't think it was appropriate to put in the new plan that had yet.
No, totally understand. I just wondered,
Yeah.
Yep.
it wasn't identified in terms of what this was, so I just want to be clear.
Yep.
Wealth of information here, a lot of hard work. It's amazing what, if you look through all of it, as I did. I was told Erica when I needed to get to sleep, I started reading. But a lot of information, wealth of it,
Yeah, it's a lot of work, and from our team and your team
pretty evident.
working together, it's done.
Awesome, nice report. Lori's been a great asset. Rich.
Thanks, thank you.
So, number 6, purchase order for steel barrier, foot, Barry, is that you?
Yep, I'll take this one. So,
Oh, I'm sorry, yeah, we better vote to approve that.
Yes.
I'm sorry. So, Chair will entertain a motion.
So moved.
Good, second.
Motion's been made, second, all those in favor, signify by saying aye. Opposed, abstentions, that's it, thank you. Now you're up on 6.
all right, so on Mount Hope Bridge, we've spoken about, that we have painters out working, on Mount Hope, Newport, and some of the miscellaneous facilities, and some of the work on Mount Hope that they'll be doing, they're actually out doing it, currently, is, to strip out all the old caulking in the safety walk of Mount Hope and re-caulk it all, and also do some spot painting the outside, girder, where there's all impact rust and whatnot, so they're gonna do some spot painting as well. taking a lane, to do the work is very disruptive to traffic. We all get complaints whenever we do it. Sometimes we have no choice. But in this case, they're working on the safety walk, so we tried to brainstorm how could we get them an element of safety to work on the safety walk and keep the lanes open. So this barrier that we proposed in this purchase order is it's actually like a barrier that we put out there in the lane that has wheels and it cranks down and it can be open. This one's made slightly different, but it's the same brand. It has the same wheels. And, the workers can take this barrier now, they can move it along because they're gonna be moving quickly. We don't need to bring equipment out to the barrier, they can crank the wheels down as they move along the safety walk and they can move with them. We did an exhaustive research to see if there was any other kinds of barriers to basically cover, we need to go out to competitive bid. Nobody else makes a barrier that we could find anywhere that has these types of wheels that you can crank down and you can move with people instead of have heavy equipment. So we went ahead and asked these folks for a quote from Tom's Barrier. Quote was $13,350, and I did ask Lori to pre-authorize the purchase because we needed to get the work started. So we did purchase a piece of barrier, and what I put in here is a couple of example pictures of it. So we just like to add formal approval of the purchase order for the barrier, $15,350.
And before you move the question, I just wanted to note that every conference that we all attend, among agencies that run bridges like ours, focuses on worker safety. And, you know, I don't even want to go there, but, you know, there are plenty of agencies that have had some terrible tragedies. So, you know, and with increasing speeds on the bridges that we have seen recently, we're doing everything possible to keep our workers safe. We love the fact that we can use our in-house workers. We want to keep them safe. We want to keep our consultant workers as well. We want to keep everybody safe and have no accidents. So this seemed, you know, a good step in that direction.
Any questions? Guys, I'm ready to entertain a motion. It's a pretty cool device.
Motion to approve.
Motion
Second.
and seconded. Discussion. All those in
Just,
Yep, go ahead.
I admire the effort that the authority is making overall to do more in-house work, do it safely this way. So I'm 100% behind it.
Any abstentions? Nays? Passage unanimous. Thank you. We are down to number 7. Or final design. It's a good word, final design. You're up. I'm
Yep.
assuming it's you again.
So this task order proposal here is to do the final design of the AET improvements out front and the new highway alignment. So we actually got the final conceptual design submitted for the record just the other day. Now we need to move forward from the conceptual design all the way to final design and bid phase for this project. So WSP, this task order that's attached here, it's quite extensive. There's a lot involved in this design. It's a little more than your typical project because we've got the tolling element, so they'll be working along with the lane integrator. They'll be working together because this WSP and this project provide all of the conduits and all of the structures that the lane integrator will come and install their equipment on. So there's quite a bit involved in this. There's a lot of environmental stormwater mitigation that's required now by DEM, so there's a big element there. It also includes work on structure E, which will be a rehab instead of a replacement. We'll basically do a hydro demolition on the bridge deck and hydro demolition of the abutment faces where they're quite cracked right now. They're not bad other than the surface of the concrete, so we'll hydro demolition the whole front on the face of the abutment and cast a new one. The bridge essentially, when it's done, will look good. The total of the proposal is $1,385,902. And if anybody's got any questions?
Yeah, first off, this is a not to exceed amount. And
Not to
this is one of the things that gives me comfort because this is a very complex project that even as they designed, there will be decisions made along the way in terms of the final disposition of what ultimately is built. So you can't really pin down everything in terms of the scope of work. So with this approach as a not to exceed amount, we're depending on Eric and staff to govern this project, to allow them to do the work only that's needed and to determine what is actually needed. So even though this is well defined, there's a lot of flexibility in terms of how the staff will manage the project. That I'm really good with that. I did want to mention that, Eric, that they probably just didn't change this on page 15 on the structural engineering. It still shows, even though we're looking at it today, on our page 15, says the authority's preferred alternative was deck replacement. And I know that that's not the case. So I recommend that we get a modification to this proposal to reflect the rehab of the structure rather than replacement. It even shows on the plan at the very end of the project, I'm not sure if it shows, yeah. The last page, the plan, it still shows replacement of structure E also. And just because it'd be very difficult to do that and manage the traffic associated with it, and I don't think it's really necessary to replace, so.
Yeah.
I don't want to stick too much on this thing, but overall, take a look at the detail in terms of what's provided on the, each component of the work and the proposed level of effort. And again, Eric and staff can manage all of this. This is a budget to allow them to do the work, and it can be managed in-house.
And I'll add that, included in the expense, portion of the fee, there are some allowances put in here for things such as renderings of what the gantry may look like, and also some renderings to prepare for any public meetings that we have. So we have some allowances built in there. We're not sure how much we'll need of that, but obviously we'll just use what we need and, it's not to exceed about for all the allowances.
Sounds like a lot of thorough details going into it.
Yeah.
And just to add to that, Eric just mentioned the final design of the gantry. I know we've already spoken to you, and we have a rendering here that shows that the road will move and that eventually the plaza will be demolished. A new gantry will be put up. If you look out the window here, it'll be before structure E, which you can see here also, although these trees may be in the way for some of you. But the new gantry will be constructed sort of where that truck is approaching now, going eastbound. So there'll be a new gantry there. We did have the Jamestown town officials come in and have a look, just brief them generally on how we are proceeding, what the plans are. We did give them some of the designs that we've seen so far. Nothing's, no pun intended, set in steel or set in stone yet. And they had some valuable input that we took back to the engineers. So we're closing in on a final design. I know you've all heard me say this before, but my goal is to make it complement the arches of the Newport Pell Bridge. I mean, it should complement the bridge. That was more important to us when we thought it was even going to be farther east, located even farther east. Now that we know it's going to be located closer to the plaza than we originally thought, you probably won't even be able to see the arches at that point when you're approaching the gantry. Still, it should reflect the character and the beauty of this bridge, and it should be unique to this bridge. So we did take the input of the Jamestown officials, and so it's still on the drawing board, but we're getting it.
Excellent. Chair will entertain a motion. Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussions, questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, abstentions? Unanimous. Director of Engineering, Capital Improvements,
Good, I'll run through these,
projects, sorry.
I'll run through these fairly quickly. This list, will grow in the coming future now that we've got some federal money and some projects coming in. But it's gonna grow substantially. But right now, we're working to finish a lot of these up. So Pier 5W Girder, which is the replacement of the bearings at Pier 5W on Newport. That one is still ongoing. We're just waiting for the bearings to come in. We haven't received them yet still. They're being fabricated. Then I spoke about phase 2 AET conceptual design. That's actually complete now. So that will actually come off. That will turn into, I'll change that line to say final design. We'll get a update on that one. Miscellaneous steel repairs to Mount Hope. The second steel is gearing up right now to make some more miscellaneous repairs that, basically came out of the last, interim inspection report that we have for the bridge. So, they did not want to work for the summer. We don't like to have that kind of work going on during the summer because the traffic is just over there. So they actually like doing that in the fall, and it's gearing up to that. ETMS, we're still working through a few camera issues on Mount Hope. And procuring a couple of extra cameras is taking a little time. Everything's still, the supply chain is just hit or miss on a lot of things. Cameras are one of those items. Underwater bridge inspection. I've included some eye candy in your packet. We spoke in the past about some underwater imaging, and we did it on the peak here, the main here. And you'll see in the imaging, you can actually see on some of the photos, debris that was from the original construction that's around the base of the pier. They would never be able to see this visually if they go manually down and try to do a visual inspection of the pier. So what they do is they do these underwater imaging, basically, it would actually detect if there were voids in the concrete, or if it was undermining or scour. One of the images, you can see some red, which is the corner, an exposed corner of the footing to the pier. So it's just showing you an example of what they can actually discover from their underwater equipment. To do a manual dive, it actually was about the same cost roughly, but the output that you get is much better. So
I guess that's pretty detailed stuff. That's very cool.
low rating of Jamestown Bridge, we have, we just received on Wednesday last week, a crack monitoring, proposal from Attain. He did the last low rating on Jamestown Bridge. This arose because there's a serviceability issue in the three main spans. There's no safety issue, there's no real load carrying capacity issue, but there's a serviceability issue because there's some shear cracking in the webs of the box girders there, and the new load rating manual doesn't allow for that. So basically, you have to grade it 0. We know it's not 0, but it's a glitch. There's a glitch in the manual where Federal Highway is working right now to come up with something so that you can recalibrate the old bridges that have this condition. We're not the one that's bridges in Connecticut, because bridges old years ago that back when they were built, it allowed you to develop some little cracking in the webs. Now you can't. So if you have those cracks in the webs, the grading manual says you have to grade it 0. So Federal Highway basically allowed us to come up with a crack monitoring plan as a mitigation method until they come up with a new manual revision to address it. So that's what we're working on right now with the team on this. So this one's going to stay open for a little bit. And then capital improvement plan. So we were just about to make the plan final, and then we received the federal grant money, and so we're kind of looking at the capital plan again to reflect some obvious changes. And so there's more to come still on the capital plan. We reconcile some of those.
You got a big hit there, so.
It's not a bad problem.
So I don't know if this is a voting item or not, doesn't say that it is, so it's informational. So Chief Financial Officer.
Sure. The only thing the financial report, it's a large check run for the month of July and August. I did not prepare June financials just because the audit was being prepared for the full year anyways. Nothing to report other than that. I can tell you, sorry, that I did look at July and August revenue, and we're ahead of budget for
Beautiful.
July and August.
This guy's been rocking the cash crop. So we're down to the Executive Director's report.
Okay, so as we have heard, traffic looks good. I am, I have resigned myself to the fact that we will probably never quite be where we were in 2019, and that's because of commuter traffic. We're back in terms of tourism. We're back. I think that the city of Newport and the surrounding area was enjoyed by in-staters, out-of-staters. the sun was shining and the people came. So, and that was reflected in our numbers. Where we reflect a little bit of a dip, it seems, is, and it's hard to pinpoint, but it seems that it's the commuter traffic during the week. The naval base did not come back 100% in terms of being on site doing their work. Many of the other ancillary businesses that are ancillary to the defense in the defense industry, they also did not come back 100%. They're either hybrid. There are even still workplaces in the state that are across all sectors that are still remote. So we are here. We've been here pretty much with just a brief hiatus of being remote early on in COVID, but we've been here. But unfortunately, that little bit of commuter traffic is still missing. However, it's not impacting our revenue as has been shown, and we'll see what happens in the years to come. We're not concerned. It's the bridge. We've enjoyed. The other thing is, it's been a pleasure to watch this summer season with all electronic tolling here. We all have stories, and we've told you stories about the things we have seen in the plaza, on the bridges, when we still had collectors in the booths, with motorists hesitating about decisions they were making. Which booth do I go to? I don't have a transponder. I don't have cash. I don't have a credit card. What do I do now? I mean, I personally had watched people make U-turns and start heading back up. So we don't see that. Knock on wood, we don't see that anymore. We see free flow traffic. That doesn't mean there aren't accidents on the bridge. We've talked before about the speeding issue on the bridge. The Rhode Island State Police contract with us, I do believe, is having an impact. They're here, see them. They've been very helpful to us, and we're monitoring that to make certain that it's working well for us. So all of that is good. The tolling operations, with electronic tolling, it's a wonderful thing. One of the consequences, however, is that we have lots more bill by mail transactions. We are now seeing more and more, especially Rhode Islanders who can receive the discounts, the discounted rates. We're seeing more of them opening accounts. But we're still generating a very high volume of bill by mail transactions, and fully intend. We've already started actually, but to ramp up a campaign, along the lines of Got Milk. Instead, it will be Got Easy Pass, which we did early on last fall when we were going all electronic, and we've started it up again and looking for people to sign up for Easy Pass, because every bill by mail transaction that we can eliminate is a step in the right direction. So that's our new back office system is up and running. Katie has been working very hard to get that back office system going. We now have Emovus in the back office, and the successful proposer on the lane integration contract was also Emovus. So we're in the process of that transition also. So all of that is looking good because of our hard work and the work of this team. And we had COVID had a silver lining, and that was that we were able to go all electronic. And because of that, we're receiving an award next week from Providence Business News for innovation in the government sector. I mean, I think I said this last month when I saw the award, I said this just has our name all over it. And we, and the way I described it to Providence Business News is that it was kind of like doing surgery with the surgeon in a remote location and our own employees who were skilled enough to follow the instructions of the surgeons from afar, and they literally allowed us to go all electronic when we didn't have enough collectors to staff three shifts full of collectors because of COVID. So, then we did a pilot program going eastbound that went well, and then we went all electronic. So it was really pretty amazing. Providence Business News agreed, and next week there'll be a dinner, and they're going to show a video of the pieces of it. Two of our vendors, I believe, that were involved in the transition will be there, both CAPS and WSP, who contributed to this effort, will be there to celebrate with us, so we're excited about that. So the big excitement, of course, is, and forgive me, I'm smiling ear to ear, and I can't stop, and I told our vice chair that I just got back from the International Bridge and Turnpike Association meeting in Austin. Katie also attended, and I found myself introducing myself at meetings of the CEOs of other agencies as, I'm Lori, I'm from Rhode Island, and I just got $82.5 million to rehabilitate the Pell Bridge. And believe me, all the other agencies, I think they were as thrilled as I was. I mean, they're hoping obviously for the same good fortune that we've had. So it was wonderful to be able to report that. Until now, tolling agencies, as distinguished from departments of transportation, have not fared as well under the new infrastructure programs. So we're kind of a trailblazer in receiving that money. Senator Reid called, personally to say that I told him he should have told me to sit down before he told me this news. The money is for the Pell Bridge rehabilitation. As you all know, we have submitted a number of grants. We submitted 2 raise grants last year and this year. We fell short the first time. We beefed it up the second time. Unfortunately, we fell short again the second time on raise, and those were focused on the Mount Hope Bridge. Then we submitted under the mega and infra programs. Those were both for the Pell, a bundle of projects, because it was $100 million threshold that was required in order to submit for those projects. And now we are waiting for decisions on the bridge investment program, which had 2 pieces to it: a large bridge piece, which was the Pell bundled projects again, and then the Mount Hope dehumidification project. So the one we were successful on was infra, which is a bundle of projects on the Pell Bridge. They were projects that we would not have undertaken for some years. The capital plan had those projects put out. One of the projects is dehumidification, just as we have been saying that the Mount Hope Bridge, which is 93 years old, needs a dehumidification system. So does the Pell Bridge need a dehumidification system. It's 53 years old. If it were built today, it would have that system. It does sit over a body of salt water. All of those reasons. So we're going to be, we've got that money. We are still hopeful. And we are still talking to the delegation, and they are very interested, and they are talking to us and initiating conversations with us about the Mount Hope Bridge and its need for a dehumidification system as well. So what's the timetable? And that's, I'll finish with that. The timetable is that probably for the next 6 months, we will be signing up our commitment with the government, crossing T's, dotting I's, on that $82.5 million grant money. By the way, the project, the entire bundle that we submitted for cost $137.5. So the 82 is about 60% of what's required. We do our homework. You all know that by now. And literally as soon as we knew this money was coming, Jeff and Eric were at work matching our plan of finance to our capital plan to make certain that we will be able to do these projects. So for the next 6 months, we'll be signing up paperwork. After that, you can expect about a year of design, because all of this, some of this wasn't scheduled, such as the redecking, completion of the redecking of the Pell Bridge. We weren't even going to be doing that work until RIDOT finished with the ramp project. Now we're able to move that up, which will make many of our customers happy, because I do get, contact from motorists saying, there's a piece of the bridge that's nice and smooth. When are you going to finish the rest? The answer until now was, we're going to wait until the ramp project is over, but now we're going to be able to move that up in our capital plan. So that's great news. So you'll see the design phase take about a year, and then you'll see these projects off and running. In the meantime, I don't know the exact date, but we're waiting for decisions on the BIP, the Bridge Investment Program projects. We're not so concerned anymore about the large bridge program because we've received the 82.5 million, although Jeff, I'm sure you'd like to, I mean, we're always entitled to resubmit for more of the funding.
We can go up to 80%, so.
So
we're
we
looking for
received
another
60, so we could receive more under that. And near and dear to our hearts and to the East Bay for freight purposes, for, you know, I mean, it's critical, the Mount Hope is critical to the freight corridor. I was at a freight advisory committee last week where they were talking about the number of trucks on Rhode Island roads is going to double in pretty short order, due to e-commerce, due to, you know, we all want things delivered to our homes now. If we are going to have, this increase in tractor trailers on the road, we are going to need to be ready, and we're going to need to have that Mount Hope Bridge functioning for us. And we're in constant discussions with federal government and with the federal delegation and with the state government as well, in hopes that we will be successful, that a 93-year-old bridge, that's designed in the early 20s and opened in 1929, will receive the same dehumidification project that's now slated for Pell. So it's all great news, and yes, I have be a while before I wipe the smile off my face on this one. So it's
Exciting.
we persisted, and I told you all we wouldn't give up, and we didn't give up, and it's coming up. But
Well done, well done.
Yeah, it's wonderful when you have a team that has the passion to make it successful. You know, a lot of my employees been with me a long time, just starting to retire. I'm concerned and nervous. You got the right team, everything grows. Congratulations, guys, great job.
Thank you. And our next meeting will go back to Wednesdays. Chair Salome couldn't be here today for medical reasons, but and we had moved it to today. We'll go back to October 19th, Wednesday, October 19th at 8:30.
Which happens to be the 30th anniversary of the Jamestown Bridge opening.
Of the Jamestown Verrazano Bridge.
Today,
You should be playing the lottery.
Yes,
You can buy a ticket for me.
yes. Good.
So I'll entertain a motion for adjournment.
So move.
Moved and unanimously passed. Thank you, everybody. These
you.
pictures are great, incidentally.
and we'll